A philosopher, a mathematician, a chemist, and a physicist were at coffee shop. The physicist turns to the chemist sitting next to him and says, "You know, chemistry is just applied physics." They all laugh a bit at the chemist. The mathematician turns to the physicist sitting next to him and says, "You know, physics is just applied mathematics." They all share a laugh at the physicist, at which point the philosopher interjects, "And mathematics is just applied philosophy." The laughter roars even louder. The mathematician turns to the philosopher and says, "That's funny. Now shut up and bring me the coffee I ordered." A Chinese man comes to Los Angeles for a holiday. He arrives at LAX and gets a cab to take him to his hotel. On the way, he sees a few buses, and he says to the taxi driver, "The buses here are so noisy and really slow." "In China, the buses are very fast." The taxi driver says nothing. Later, the Chinese tourist sees a marine with a few boats sailing by. He comments again to the driver, "The boats here are so slow. In China, the boats are very fast." The driver kept silent and drove. When they get to the hotel, the Chinese tourist gets out of the taxi and asks for the meter reading. The driver calmly tells him the price, and the man is startled. "Are you kidding?" he yells. "Your buses are so slow. The boats are so slow. If everything else here is so slow, then how come the meter of your taxi is so fast?" The driver gives him a smile and says, "It's made in China." Rendi, a large corporation, hires a tribe of ex-cannibals. As they accept them, they tell them, "You have full rights as employees, but you're not allowed to eat anybody." Things go well for several weeks, and then the CEO calls the tribe into his office and says, "One of the employees has been missing for several days now. This is awkward to ask, but did you eat them?" The chief of the tribe checks with his people and says, "No, sir, we have not eaten anybody. We have left that all behind us." The CEO remains unconvinced, but without evidence, there is nothing he can do. He apologizes for the suspicion and sends them back to work. Once they are away from the other employees, the chief turns to his people and asks, "Okay, which one of you idiots did it?" A tribesman sheepishly puts up his hand and admits, "I ate the cleaning lady." Enraged, the chief slaps the man and yells, "You fool! We've been eating department heads, marketing executives, and efficiency consultants for weeks, and nobody noticed. Then you had to go and eat someone they'll miss." A nun was taking a bath when there was a knock at the door. "Who is it?" she asked. The voice back replies, "It's the blind man. Can I come in?" The nun thinks for a moment and says, "Yes, that's fine." The door opens and the man says, "Nice. Where you want me to hang the blinds?" 3 dots. A man walked into the ladies' department of a Macy's, shyly walked up to the woman behind the counter and said quietly, "I'd like to buy a bra for my wife." "What type of bra?" asked the clerk. "Type?" inquires the man, a bit out of his element. "There's more than one type." "Look around," said the sales lady, as she showed him a sea of bras in every shape, size, color, and material imaginable. "Actually, even with all of this variety, there are really only 3 main styles of bras to choose from," said the sales lady. "The soldier, the judge, or the politician. Which would you prefer?" Now befuddled, the man asked about the differences between them. The sales lady responded, "Well, it's quite simple. The soldier defends strategic locations from foreign hands, the judge makes sure everything is equal and balanced, and the politician blows everything out of proportion." Nangu. A young man approaches a fisherman standing in the river. He waves to the fisherman and says, "Wow, great pole you've got there." The fisherman smiles, gives a slight nod and says, "Thank you. And man, that's some of the coolest tackle I've ever seen." The fisherman smiles and nods proudly. "Thank you." Some high-quality bait, too." "Thanks again," says the fisherman with a big smile. The young man peers down into the river, curious. "You know," he says, "the fish don't really come through here this time of year." "Yeah, I know," shrugged the fisherman. "Then what are you fishing for?" "Compliments?" A Japanese company and a Swedish company decided to have a row competition as a publicity stunt. Both teams trained long and hard. Competition came and the Japanese won by 1 kilometer. The Swedish company's leadership was shocked, but in this major crisis, the leadership showed its value. They wanted a rematch next year so they could save face. The other company agreed. Right away, the Swedish team started to examine the reason they lost. The company created a special task force. After a lengthy examination for several months, the report was submitted that it appeared the Japanese team had 1 person at the helm, and the rest were rowing. On the Swedish team, 1 person was rowing as the rest were at the helm. After this report, the company decided to hire a consultant to solve the issue. After experts went through the findings of the task force for a few months, the judgment was clear. There were too few people rowing and too many people at the helm. Armed with this knowledge, the Swedish company took swift action, and the result was that there would be 2 steersmen, 2 senior steersmen, a captain, and a rower. In addition, the rower was enrolled in a bonus scheme system to motivate him for better results. So a year went by, and it was time for the rematch. Surprisingly, the Japanese won again, this time by 3 kilometers. The Swedish company management knew exactly what to do. They fired the rower due to poor performance, got large bonuses for all managers for their initiative in trying to solve the issue, and for next year, they decided they would try to design a better boat. A prostitute standing outside a motel in a small town saw a 70-year-old man walking past. She hasn't had a customer for a while, so she whistles at him and says, "Hey, would you like to have some fun time with me?" The old man said, "But I won't be able to." "Come on, man, give it a try," she says. Old man says okay. They go in. The moment they get to the bed, the old-timer becomes a machine and makes passionate love to her an hour straight. When he's done, the prostitute catches her breath. Exhausted and tired, she says, "But you said you won't be able to pay you," completed the old man. 7 dots. 3 technician guys go into an interview for a job at the local telephone company. They were all 3 great candidates and very well qualified. The boss brings them into the office and says, "Okay, you 3 look the best on paper, but I gotta know if you have what it takes for the day-to-day work. So, I'm gonna give you 1 day to impress me. Set as many telephone poles as you can and report back tomorrow." They all 3 go to work setting poles and return the next day into the boss's office. The boss asks one by one how many they set. The first guy set 13. "Wow, 13! That is impressive," the boss tells him happily. The second guy set 9. "Well," said the boss, "not as good as the first guy, but still it is impressive." He turns to the third guy. "How many did you set?" the boss asks. 2. The man replies triumphantly, his blonde hair waving in the wind. 2. That's it? The manager was shocked. "That's barely any. What were you doing all day?" "Well, I didn't want to have to be a snitch. But these other guys? They only put theirs halfway in the ground." Yet a stockbroker walks past a kid selling lemonade. "Hey, mister, you want some lemonade?" A little girl calls to him. The stockbroker is just getting out of his brand new BMW in a nice tailored suit. He was about to walk past when he a double take at the sign that says, "Lemonade $50. "Your sign is wrong, kid. I think you mean 50 cents. The little girl shakes her head. "Nope, $50, mister. I need the money for space camp." The stockbroker paused for a minute, because he appreciates a good hustle, but clearly this kid is going about it the wrong way. Look, sweetie, I know you're trying to make money, but you have to charge what people are willing to pay. No one is going to pay that much for a tiny cup of lemonade. Now, what do you think is a fair price? The little girl beams and says, $50, mister. The stockbroker gives a little sigh and shakes his head. Okay, I'm gonna pass. You see, you can't make a profit when no one pay your price. Now, do you have anything else for sale? Homemade brownies, 50 cents. The stockbroker winces in frustration. Okay, look, I studied economics at Harvard and I got my MBA from Wharton, so I'm going to teach you a little about business, okay? Now, each of your little cups of lemonade probably costs you about 50 cents, including the margin cost of your stand. He takes out $1. I'll pay you 10 times that much because I want to help you understand about markup. The little girl shakes her head and smiles. No thanks, mister. $50, please. You know what? I give up. Take this $1 and I'm going to buy 2 of your brownies. I know you're losing money on them, and I'm not going to buy a single cup of your overpriced lemonade. I'm trying to be nice and teach you about business, but I guess this is the only way for you to learn a lesson. Okay. The girl takes the $1 and puts 10 brownies on a plate. Just to make the point, the stockbroker decides to eat one of the brownies right in front of her. Suddenly, he begins coughing and gagging uncontrollably. Oh my God, what did you put in these? She grins happily and says, it's my special recipe. Eggs, flour, butter, cocoa, sawdust, and goat pellets. This is horrible. I have to get this taste out of my mouth. The little girl takes out a jar full of $50 bills, cocks her head to the side, and says through a beaming grin, You want some lemonade? 9. A man goes into a restaurant and is seated. All the waitresses are gorgeous. A particularly beautiful waitress came to his table. What would you like, sir? He looks at the menu and then looks at her, then answers, A quickie. The waitress turns and walks away in disgust. After she regains her composure, she returns and asks again, What would you like, sir? Again, the man looks at her and answers, A quickie, please. This time, her anger takes over. She reaches over and slaps him across the face with a resounding smack and storms away. A man sitting at the next table leans over and whispers, I think it's pronounced quiche. But a duck goes into a store and waddles up to the manager. He asks him if he sells duck food. The shopkeeper tells him no. The duck then leaves. The next day, the duck returns and asks the same question again. The shopkeeper tells him, testily, that the store still doesn't sell duck food. The duck leaves. The following day, the duck returns again and asks the same question. The shopkeeper is getting pissed off, so says no, and warns the duck, if he asks one more time, he will staple the duck's feet to the floor. The next day, the duck goes back into the store. He waddles up to the now red-faced shopkeeper and asks, Do you sell staples? No. The puzzled shopkeeper says, Great, says the duck. Do you sell duck food? Vad undrar? In a small town there lived a gypsy psychic who was known to read minds, do divinations, etc. One day, she went to shop for clothes. After trying all kinds of outfits, a salesperson approached her and asked if she can bring her some things. Sure, said the psychic, and the girl went to get her dresses. When she came back, the psychic looked at the clothes and then raised an eyebrow. There is no way these will fit me. They are all large. I've been working at this a while, said the salesgirl. Believe me, I think these will fit you. Nope. No way, said the psychic. How do you know if you haven't even tried them on? Said the frustrated girl. Trust me, said the psychic. I'm a medium. A trucker came into a truck stop coffee shop and placed his order. He said, "I want 3 flat tires, a pair of headlights, and pair of running boards." The brand new blonde waitress, not wanting to appear stupid, went to the kitchen and said to the cook, "This guy out there just ordered 3 flat tires, a pair of headlights, and a pair of running boards. What does he think this place is, an auto parts store?" "No," the cook said. 3 flat tires mean 3 pancakes. A pair of headlights is 2 eggs sunny side up, and running boards are 2 slices of crisp bacon." "Oh, okay," said the blonde. She thought about it for a moment and then spooned up a bowl of beans and gave it to the customer. The trucker asked, "What are the beans for, Blondie?" She replied, "I thought while you were waiting for the flat tires, headlights and running boards, you might as well gas up.